Okay, I am showing you guys really quickly an overview on how our authoring works on the website. This is all done through the user accounts. So if we take a look at our full user list here, we've got just a couple administrators, tons of contributors, and then an editor. The goal here is that any of the authors actually are just contributors. We try and keep our administrator level pretty low, and a lot of that's done either you can see it's like our WP Engine technical support, or this is the guy who runs our development team. I'm an administrator. Any of the like church main accounts are administrators, but most of the author specifics are going to be set up as a contributor, and so this will give them the ability to be tagged to things, but they don't necessarily need to ever log in. All of the tagging for their posts or any of that kind of stuff is all usually done through um, just me tagging that person to that post. So as we kind of take a look at this full list, here's my account. So I'm going to take a look just a little bit deeper here and see what's going on. So I am showing you guys kind of what populates on the front end here. So it's got my name. It has the option for a title. You can leave this out if the person doesn't want it. It has their author photo. It'll then take their first name and plug it in right here, as well as any of the social media stuff. They have the ability to put any content in this section, as well as link to a website. So I didn't have one, so for the sake of this tutorial, I just put Apple's website in there. And then it also brings in the recent posts from the person if they have any. This is actually built in with a lot of exclusions. So if they are, maybe they don't have a bio written, and I'm trying to think actually really quickly, somebody who doesn't have a bio. I bet Richie probably doesn't. So let's see really quick. So this is a pastor out in Spokane. Yep, here we go. That's actually a terrible example of that. Maybe Sandy? Sorry for my lack of preparation here, but I remembered this last minute. So if we look at Sandy, here's a pretty good example of it. So it does an exclusion. So Sandy doesn't have like an image loaded in, but it'll kind of just center her person right there. It excludes the whole section for her container, and just basically allows like this page to still exist, so you can still continue to tag things to Sandy, but it's not requiring any of the other stuff. So if we look deeper into my profile, I've got a first name, last name. The username is hard set the very first time you create the person, and so some of these usernames are different, and something important about this username is that actually ends up being kind of the unique identifier for that individual. So some people have like Renee Halland versus me is just M. Schamberg, and that has to do with just those usernames can never be changed. And so as we've moved forward, I think everybody is just like first name hyphen last name for the most part. But some of the early adopters, such as me or other people that were part of the site early on, probably have some different usernames. And this doesn't really matter for the most part. It's always, other people are always catching it through a link or a photo or something like that. So, but yeah. So in the back end here, you can choose how you want the name to be published. Everybody should get this email in there. So if they have an email to contact at, especially staff members, these need to be on the website. What this does is actually allows them, if they're logging in and using their email, this is going to be the email that's then notified from that. The actual email that's published here is separate, and I'll show you that in a second. This website field can be left blank. This just has to do with the user. But all this information down below here is everything that has to do with the user. So outside of the first name and last name. So you can see my profile photos loaded in there. Usually I think these guys are about 1,000 by 1,000 or 600. It never gets much bigger than this, so usually about 600 pixels is totally fine. The author page banners are kind of our default header size. This one's slightly larger, but usually this will be 1500 by 1000 pixels. We reuse all sorts of different ones here. Mainly you're just looking for kind of a texture or something to take out the background. They will load in their bio section here. Just make sure that that's plain text. You don't want that to be styled in any different way. And then here's where some of this stuff comes in. So you can see Creative Director at Anthem. That's going to come there, and then start throwing all the hard links in there. If they want their email published, then you can put it in here. If they don't, then leave it off of the site, and this will actually disappear. And that goes for any of these links in this section. If it's not in the field, it actually excludes the logo. So if I didn't want my Instagram to be on there, I can just come here and delete that, and then you'll see this icon just disappear. So it's not there anymore. Public website link, we have to get a little bit repetitive with this, and the reason for it is just so that the formatting can all stay the same. So if I wanted this to say blueberries, then I could update the profile in all caps because that's normal. And I can refresh this page, and even though it says blueberries, you can see it's still actually linking to apple.com. So what I'm trying to show you here is that whatever's in this field, the bottom one here, is what's actually going to display for the text, whereas the actual link we want in there. So that's going to include the HTTP. It might have like a specific thing. Try and get creative. I wouldn't link directly just to thisisouranthem.com for people, even if they're, like, let's take Chris Laurie for instance. He's not going to link directly to thisisouranthem.com. Chris actually has his own website. But maybe like Austin Luring, who's our worship pastor at the moment, he is somebody who maybe wants to link to the actual worship page. So there might be a whole entire page for worship, and so I could just do like learn more about Austin and his ministry here, and then I can insert whatever link I want and link to that. So if I exclude both of those, then you guys will see it will also exclude it here. As you can see, it disappears. So the rest of it is pretty straightforward. You just tag articles or podcasts or different things like that. All of those kinds of things can get tagged to users on the website, and then any of this content can get pulled into that and leveraged. So